I think there are two questions which stick out in my mind today. One is the question to Suella Braverman about whether or not she would think that that the Olympic athletes Mo would be deported had he come here under the new regulations that she is proposing, and she was extremely evasive in her answer. The other question is one that was put to me in one of the comments, and it's really very clever because in the hymn Jerusalem, and did those feet in ancient times walk upon England's byways and mountains green, and it's a reference to a myth which I remember being taught at school when I was quite young, that Jesus came to Britain with Joseph of Arimathea when he was a young boy, and indeed they planted the thorn bush or something in Glastonbury. Well, would he have been arrested? Would he have been detained had he arrived under Suella Braverman's new rules? Presumably the answer is yes. So that hymn wouldn't exist either. And the third point is something that I think I didn't really make as clear as maybe I should have done. Although I think Lineker's perfectly entitled to make his comments as he wishes on his own, and although I understand that his fame derives partly from his being on the BBC, partly from him being a footballer, it is the BBC which has given him a priority in this story. It was one of the lead stories in the BBC today, and they have rather drummed this one up. So to tell him to shut up is a little hypocritical of the BBC, first of all. Secondly, he makes a link between Suella Braverman's law and the language that she's been using consistently for some time, and the language which was used by Germany in the 1930s. He says the 1930s. So, we shouldn't confuse that with the gas chambers. That's a more extreme form of Nazi persecution. And I don't think anybody is suggesting, I don't think Gary Lineker is remotely suggesting that Suella Braverman's activities amount to concentration camp murder. But I think there is a parallel to be had, particularly with the Madagascar plan and the Rwanda plan. However, the parallel is much more fitting, as I said it this morning. The parallel is much more fitting. The cat is in the way, with the British attitude towards Jews and towards foreigners in the mid-1930s and indeed after the war. And it was that attitude which fostered the guilt which I suspect lies behind our promotion of the 1951 Refugee Convention. And at a time when we were reflecting on the hostilities and the displaced people and the horrific treatment of Jews and Slavs, Serbs, Gypsies, Roma, of the horrific treatment of people simply because of their nationality, their background, their beliefs, that we felt it was necessary to develop the 1951 Refugee Convention. I don't think it's been any more relevant than it is today. And yes, it needs some interpretation. So yes, I put out a video earlier about the 1999 interpretation of what constitutes a direct route from the place of persecution, your homeland, to a place of refuge. And there was a 1999 ruling by a British judge which conceded that could take some time. I'm not sure whether it's that particular ruling or another ruling, which I think it is that ruling which suggests it's about 70 days should be allowed. There's another ruling called the Spanish Protocol, the Madrid Protocol, I can't remember, which again challenges another issue in Suella Braverman's machinery. Is it possible for somebody from mainland Europe to claim asylum in Britain? The answer is yes. Yes. Though it flies in the face of everything that Europe stands for, and it flies in the face of the Dublin III Protocol and so on. But yes, in the same way as it might be possible that people very soon will be claiming asylum from Britain in other countries, if this oppressive approach to government continues. Yes, I can imagine people fleeing here. I think we need to change the tone of debate, and we need to get down to looking at the nitty-gritty laws. Because if a national law does not comply with our international obligations, it is either a bad law. Generally, we think of a bad law as one which cannot be enforced properly. There are plenty of those. The fox hunting law is one very good one. But a bad law could also be a law which technically is illegal internationally. And I think the Nationality and Borders Act falls very close to that. And certainly the law which Suella Braverman is trying to put through now will probably turn out to be similarly very close to being an internationally illegal law. And the international community then has a choice. It can distance itself from us. It can say that that law is illegal. Or it can enter into negotiations and discussion with us to try and reconcile that law to international law. At the moment, I don't think those discussions have been had. And I think we need to have those discussions. There is room for an improvement of the 1951 Refugee Convention. It took place a long time ago, and the world that it anticipated and was dealing with, indeed, in 1951 has changed beyond all comprehension. Although we are badly in need of a convention like the 1951 Refugee Convention, I can understand that it doesn't fully meet all our requirements. And a better job for Suella Braverman would be to get together with her international colleagues and to try and arrange a proper conference where a revision of the 1951 Convention can be presented and agreed. That would be an adult and mature way forward instead of sloganising and beating the table and talking about invasion.